What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas, Jessica I versus Cynthia Calvillo. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another fight card prediction. This time we were breaking down UFC Vegas, Jessica I versus Cynthia Calvillo. The card as a whole is a little weak. The main event is not something I'm interested in, but I do think this card has potential. You got great fights on here. Ivy versus Aguilera is going to be fun. Griffin versus Manor is going to be fun. Fili versus Jourdain is going to be a fun fight. Borg, Dvalishvili, Robertson, Vettori. I like all those fights quite a bit, but there are some fights on here that I'm not too interested in, including the main event, but still going to have fun breaking it down anyway. Also, do want to make an announcement that I am going live on Friday, kind of doing like a final thoughts video, and then also answering any questions you guys have, whether it's DraftKings, whether it's betting, any questions you guys have. By then, looked at weigh-ins and everything. I'm ready to answer any questions, and also just give my final thoughts fight by fight and give kind of like a betting breakdown as well. Coming off of a tough card last week, there were some predictions I was, proud of, like Ian Heinisch and Alex Perez. And there were some predictions that I was not so proud of picking, like Alonzo Menafield and Chase Hooper. Menafield is really surprised that he came out there trying to, clinch up with Clark. He had Clark hurt in that first round, but decided to clinch up with him, which I don't understand. Ended up getting really tired, looking very, very bad in that second and third round. And then Chase Hooper, I said it all week. I said it in the Final Thoughts video. My least confident pick. I was not confident in that at all. Watching tape on Hooper, he was just not a very good striker, and we saw that against Alex Caceres. So, that one hurts. I do think I should have went with Caceres there, but on paper, it was Hooper all day. I think I read too much into that. Caceres does make a lot of mistakes on the mat. I did think it would get on the mat at some point, and it even did in the fight, but Caceres was able to, stand back up. So, Caceres looked very, very good, and that's just because, Hooper is not there yet. He's not there yet. So, yeah, so make sure you guys tune in Friday. Going to be doing the live video Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time or 8 p.m. Eastern Time, somewhere around there. So come in with a lot of questions. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on that. Put the notification bell on so you know when I'm going live as well. Just really looking forward to it. Get some extra content out for you guys. But yeah, let's start with breaking down this card. We had the first fight of the night. I think this fight will be fun. Anthony Ivy versus Christian Aguilera. Anthony Ivy, he is 30 years old. He is 6'2" with a 74-inch reach. He is 8-2, and he is 5-0 in his last 5 fights. You got Christian Aguilera. He is 20 years old. He is 5'9" with a 71-inch reach, 13-6, and he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So Ivy has been submitted twice in his 2 losses, and Aguilera has been finished by strikes 5 times in his 6 losses. Aguilera has never been submitted. Looking at the odds here, Ivy is a minus 190 favorite. I think he's at like minus 200 now, and Aguilera is a plus 160 underdog. Yeah, I think Ivy's the more talented fighter overall. I think he has the more upside compared to Aguilera. Aguilera is tough. He has some finishes on his record. He does get finished quite a bit, 5 times. I do think Ivy has the better ground game by far. I think if Ivy does take down Aguilera, he'll have a lot of success, whether it's ground and pound, whether it maybe is finding submission. I have seen Aguilar dominated off his back for a whole round. I've seen him also defend submissions from a black belt in BJJ, so that's kind of nice to see, but I just see Ivy taking down Aguilera and finishing him with some ground and pound. I think Aguilera is very easy to take down. I think he's very easy to control as well, and if Ivy gets on top of him, I think he's going to finish the fight, so I like Ivy here quite a bit. If Aguilera can keep this on the feet, I do think it's a little bit closer. Ivy does hit pretty hard, but I do think Aguilera has the ability to put out Ivy's lights. I just think Ivy's going to get down Aguilera at some point and win this fight with a ground and pound victory in that first round. So give me Ivy, give me first round finish for Ivy. Next fight, we got another fun fight I'm really looking forward to. Jordan Griffin versus Derek Minner. If you guys haven't watched the Griffin versus Minner fight, go check that out. Honestly, this fight is very, very tough to call. We got Jordan Griffin. He has a minus 165 favorite, opened up a huge favorite, dropped down, and for good reason. And Derek Minner opened up as a huge underdog. He's now plus 145, so the line is closing. And this fight is so tough to call. If you watch their fight, Minner looked very, very good, and Minner ended up getting submitted by Griffin, which is the story of Minor's life. Minor has been submitted 8 times. Griffin's been submitted twice. Honestly, not really high on Griffin. We've seen Griffin dominated before and come back and win in the second round. I think that might be what happens here. But there are not many underdogs on this card, so I am going to pick an underdog here with Darrick Minor. I do think he's going to come out here in that first round and try to finish the fight. I do think he locks up a submission. He looked so good in that fight against Griffin. It's just he got caught in a submission, so we cannot have that happen this time. I'm going to take a shot on him. I think this line should be a little bit closer. But would I be surprised if Jourdain Griffin did submit him? No. But I do think Minor is very, very, very live here. And for that reason, I'm going to pick Minor to win by submission in the first round. If he does not get that first round submission, he's probably going to lose, but I think he's going to get it done in that first round. So give me Darrick Minor and give me a first round submission. All right, Tyson Am versus, I'm going to mess this name up really bad. We'll just call him Zaruk. Did not do much tape on this fight yet. This fight was just announced. I want to get this video out to you guys as soon as possible, so I will be going a little bit more into detail on this fight on my final thoughts video going live on Friday, so make sure you guys get in there. But yeah, Nam not too impressed with him whatsoever. Very, very low volume guy. Hits pretty hard. Just from what I can see from Zaruk, he does have a kickboxing background, some other combat sports background as well, so he's not coming in here with like no experience. He's 3-1 in MMA. He's been submitted before. I do think this fight stays on the feet most of the time. Zaruk has some power from what I've seen. He does come to fight. He brings the volume. He's going to come on there, and I think that's a good game plan for him. Haven't seen the line yet for Nam Zaruk, but I'm assuming Nam's going to be like minus 200, something like that. I do think Zaruk's going to be the underdog because Nam has all that MMA experience under him. But I do think Zaruk is probably live just to the fact that Nam doesn't throw much, and Zaruk's going to come out here, and he's probably going to throw a lot more than Nam. Worried about Zaruk's chin. Haven't seen much of that. Don't know too much about his chin. We have seen him submitted, but I don't think he has to worry about it in that fight. Just for giving a prediction here, I'm going to go with Nam, but make sure you tune into that final thoughts video. I'm going to go with the experience here. I do think Zaruk's very live, but I do think Nam's probably going to catch him at some point. Nam hits very hard. If he does not catch him, he's probably going to lose a decision, which would be, you don't want to be losing to, a guy like Zaruk where you're at in this career. I think Nam would definitely be cut if he did lose to Zaruk here. So I'm going to go with Nam. I'm going to pick him to win. Probably a knockout. Just not confident in that at all. I need to watch more tape on Zaruk. I've only seen 2 fights. And he looked okay. It's just against low-level competition, so it's really hard to gauge where he is at. But give me Nam for now. All right, next we got a decent fight. You got Julia Avila versus Gina Mazani. I do think this is going to be a kind of a one-sided fight here. I think Avila is better on the feet by a very, very good margin. I think she's going to be able to stuff the takedowns of Mazani as well. Avila, she is 32 years old. She is 5'7" with a 69-inch reach. 7-1 and 4-1 in the last 5 fights. Gina Mazani, 31 years old, 5'6", 60.5-inch reach, and she is 6-3 and 2-3 in the last 5 fights. Mazani has been finished in 2 or 3 fights, and that's why I do think she's going to get finished here. Avila hits very, very hard. I think Avila's just going to have way too much for Mazani here, and I think she's going to get her out of there pretty early, maybe first or second round. I just don't think Mazani's going to be able to take those hard shots. Mazani has been knocked out before, and she has lost by submission before. Looking at the odds here, Avila minus 485, rightfully so. I just don't see really a path to victory for Mazani here. I think Avila's going to take this pretty handedly. So give me Avila and give me her to win. I'm going to say first round, second round knockout. Pretty confident in that pick, obviously. And next we got another pick I'm pretty confident in, Charles Rosa versus Kevin Aguilar. Going to get into the numbers a little bit now. Couldn't do that much in the earlier fights because we had so much UFC debuts, but Kevin Aguilar, he's 31 years old. He's 5'7" with a 73-inch reach. He is 17-3, and he is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We've seen him get knocked out in his last fight. Was not expecting that, but he does average 4.8 significant strikes per minute. With a 35% striking accuracy, he absorbs 6.07 significant strikes per minute with the 57% striking defense. No takedowns for him, but he does have an 89% takedown defense. Very, very strong guy. Very good takedown defense. averages 0 submissions per 15 minutes. In 20 fights, he's won 53% by knockout, 12% by submission, and 65% finish rate. He's lost by decision once, knockout twice, and submission twice as well. Decision once, knockout twice, and submission 0 times. So, Charles Rosa, 33 years old, seems to be on the decline. We've seen him get dominated by Mitchell. His last fight did not look good at all. But Bryce Mitchell's a beast, so can't really take too much away from that fight. He is 5'9", going to have a 2-inch height advantage, 69-inch reach, which is going to be a 4-inch reach disadvantage. He is 12-4. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. He lands 3.85 significant strikes per minute with a 33% striking accuracy. He absorbs 4 significant strikes per minute with a 51% striking defense. He averages 2.93 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 34% takedown accuracy. Do not see him taking down Aguilar in this fight. He has 16 fights, and he has won 27% by knockout, 64% by submission. He's lost by decision 3 times. He has been knocked out once. Looking at the odds here, Aguilar is -170 and Rosa is +150. I like Aguilar a lot in this fight. I think he has a very, very, very good shot to win here. I just see this fight playing out on the feet the whole time, and since it does play on the feet the whole time, I do favor Aguilar quite a bit. Rosa's striking isn't bad. It's not bad at all, but I think Aguilar is a better striker. I think Aguilar hits harder. We've seen Rosa knocked out before. I think he could possibly get knocked out here again. I don't know if Rosa's even going to try to get takedowns here. I think he's going to have a really, really hard time getting on the inside and getting Aguilar down. Do not see him taking down Aguilar. I'd be very, very surprised. If he did take down Aguilar, I think Aguilar would be able to get back up. Just don't see Rosa taking down Aguilar. So this is probably one of my most confident picks. I know Aguilar's lost his last 2 fights, but I think this matchup favors him a lot. I think he'll be able to take down. I think he'll be able to stop the takedowns from Rosa and just keep it on the feet and do some damage on the feet. Could be a little bit close, depending on the volume, but I think that Aguilar is going to definitely land the harder shots, and I do think he'll probably land the more shots as well. So I do like Aguilar. I'm going to pick him to win by decision, but would not be surprised if we did see him win by a knockout. Next we got Maria Agapova versus Hanna Cyphers. Agapova, she is 23 years old. She is 5'6" with a 70-inch reach. She is 8-1, and she is 4-1 in her last 5 fights, making a lot of improvements. Hanna Cyphers, she is 27 years old. She is 5'1", 62-inch reach, 8-inch reach disadvantage, which is insane. And 5-inch height disadvantage, 12-4, and she is 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Yeah, I like Agapova here quite a bit. Just looking at the odds, Agapova is a -235 favorite. I think it could be even wider than that. Cyphers is tough, but I think that reach is going to give Cyphers some huge problems, and Agapova is a finisher. I believe she's finished... What is it? She's finished 66% of her fights, and compared to Cyphers 50%. Yeah, she's a finisher. I think she will probably finish this fight, honestly. She hits very hard, and we've seen Cyphers knocked out. Believe Cyphers been knocked out twice, and she's lost by submission twice. Cyphers hasn't been finished before. I think she gets finished here again. I think Agapova just is going to land some very, very hard shots. I think it could be kind of close, but I think overall that reach is just going to give Cyphers a lot of problems. So I like Agapova. I like her here quite confidently. As to bet it, tune in for the live video. Maybe put it in a parlay. Would not bet it straight, but I do think it is parlayable at -235. Next, we got a fight I'm honestly not looking forward to whatsoever. We have Espinosa versus Marc de la Rosa. You got Espinosa. He is 30 years old. He is 5'6", with a 69-inch reach. He is 14-7. He is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Marc de la Rosa, he is 25 years old. He is 5'6" with a 65-inch reach, 11-4 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Espinosa has landed 2.85 significant strikes per minute compared to de la Rosa's 3.28. Espinosa has a 43% striking accuracy. He absorbs 5.6 significant strikes per minute with a 56% striking defense. Espinosa averages 0.79 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 25% takedown accuracy, but he does have an 83% takedown defense. Averages 0 submissions per 15 minutes. 21 fights, Espinosa has won by knockout 14% of the time. He's won by submission 50% of the time. Don't really see a finish happening in this fight. And Espinosa does have a 64% finish rate. Espinosa's lost by decision 3 times. He's lost by submission 4 times. As for De La Rosa, averages 3.28 significant strikes per minute with a 36% strike accuracy. Absorbs 4.26 significant strikes per minute with a 53% striking defense. He averages 0.66 takedowns for 50 minutes with a 15% takedown accuracy, which is very, very bad. You want to see that higher, especially in this matchup. He has a 42% takedown defense as well. He averages 0.22 submissions per 15 minutes. De La Rosa, 15 fights, 9% by knockout, 55% by submission. De La Rosa has lost by decision twice, lost by knockout once, and lost by submission once. Looking at the odds here, I see quite a bit of love for De La Rosa. Minus 165 Espinosa and plus 145 De La Rosa. This fight is kind of tough to call. I'm not too high on Espinosa whatsoever, but it's really hard to pick a guy like Marc De La Rosa. I don't think either of these guys are very good at all. But I think Espinosa is the more athletic fighter. I think he hits harder. Don't really see De La Rosa getting Espinosa on the ground. Like I said, 15% takedown accuracy. I just don't see it happening. And Espinosa's takedown defense is not bad. I just don't see it happening. So I think Espinosa is going to be able to keep this fight standing. And when he does, he's going to land probably the harder shots. Don't think he's going to get a finish or anything, but I do think he'll win a very close decision. I do think this fight will be close. So for people taking a shot on De La Rosa, don't really hate it too much, honestly, because I do think there is some value. It could be honestly closer towards a pick'em, but I'm going to go with the more athletic guy, the guy I think will be better on the feet and have more success on the feet in Jourdain Espinosa. But if De La Rosa gets this on the ground, he's for sure live. He's for sure live because we have seen Espinosa submitted before, and De La Rosa is a BJJ black belt. So I'm going to go Espinosa by decision, very, very close decision. Honestly, can go either way. Not too confident in it at all. Next, we got some good fights coming up here. We have Fili versus Charles Jourdain. Fili, he is 29 years old. He is 5'11" with a 74-inch reach. He is 20-7, and he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Charles Jourdain, he is 24 years old, 5'9", 69-inch reach, 10-2, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We remember when Jourdain fought Doo Ho Choi. I think I was like one of the only people that was on Jourdain. Just did not believe in the hype of Doo Ho Choi too much. And Jourdain is not bad at all. He's not a bad striker. So I did think he was live in that fight. I ended up picking him in that fight. Jourdain has finished 100% of his fights, 67% by knockout and 33% by submission. Fili has finished 60% of his fights. Looking at the odds here, Fili is a minus 225 favorite, and Jourdain is a plus 185 underdog. This is another underdog I've seen pretty popular, Charles Jourdain. And honestly, I don't get it other than he has a shot at knocking out Fili. He hits very hard on the feet. It is close, but I do favor Fili in every aspect of this fight. Whether it's on the feet, I think Fili's better on the feet. Whether it's on the mat, I think Fili has a huge advantage on the mat here. If he can get down Jourdain, which I do think he can, I think he will have a very, very good night here. It's just, is he going to come out here and try to strike with Jourdain, which that would give Jourdain a path to victory there, or is he going to come out here and try to get takedowns, maybe try to find a submission? And I do think that's what he's going to do. I think Fili's going to come out here, get takedowns. Fili has, like I said, won 33% of his fights by 15% of his fights by submission. I do think he could get a submission here on Jourdain. He's lost by submission twice. Fili has. He's lost by knockout once. Jourdain's never been knocked out. He's never lost by submission, but I do think one of those could possibly happen here. I just like Fili everywhere the fight goes, so I am going to be picking Fili. And yeah, I honestly, I'm fairly confident in this besides the puncher's chance of Jourdain. It could get a little bit close, but I'm just going to side with Fili here. I have not looked at putting a bet on him. I think I might look at potentially parlaying him. Tune in Friday. I'll let you guys know. Have not made any bets yet, but there is some stuff I'm eyeing as well. So give me Fili. And like I said, I'm pretty confident in that pick, but Jourdain's definitely no slouch. It's going to be a really good fight. It's going to be a firefight, possibly a fight of the night as well. All right, Ray Borg versus Merabh Dvalishvili. Merabh is 29 years old. He's 5'6" with a 68-inch reach. He is 10-4, and he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Ray Borg, he is 26 years old. He is 5'4", 63-inch reach, and he is 13-5 in his last 5 fights. He's 13-5 with a record with 2-3 in his last 5 fights. So Merabh, he does, I want to just point some of these things out. He lands 7.8 takedowns for 15 minutes. Ray Borg has a 50% takedown defense. Honestly, I like this fight a lot for Merabh, like a lot. When I first saw this fight announced, I was like, oh yeah, max bet on Merabh. He's like, let's see. He's like a minus 300 favorite. He's minus 400 now. He's minus 400. So at that point, the line is definitely probably unplayable as straight, obviously, but you can definitely put that in a parlay. I'm very confident in this pick, like very, very confident in this pick. I'd be very surprised if Ray Borg did win. The path to victory for Ray Borg would be getting a submission. We've seen Merabh submitted before by Ricky Simone, and it's just tough to pick Borg here. It really is. If anybody's taking a shot on Borg, it's tough. It's really tough. I think Merabh's going to dominate here. I think he's going to get a lot of takedowns. Merabh's top control is not the best at all, so I do think Borg can get back up, and then Merabh's going to bring him right back down, probably land over 10 takedowns. I just see, we remember what happened with Ricky Simone and Ray Borg. I think that's going to happen. I think it's Merabh's going to land even more takedowns than Ricky Simone did as well. So I do like Merabh quite a bit in this fight. Obviously, if you guys play DraftKings, stack up on the Merabh in DraftKings because he's going to get a lot of takedowns. So like I said, I'm definitely looking at parlaying Merabh here, minus 400. Hopefully the line doesn't get any wider than that. I don't see why it should. Just don't really give Borg much of a chance in this fight. So, yeah, I'm going to go Dvalishvili by a very dominant 30-27 decision or even a 30-26. All right, next we got a pretty fun fight here. Marvin Vettori versus Carl Robertson. You got Vettori. He is 26 years old. He is 6 foot, 74-inch reach, 14-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. And you got Robertson. He's 29 years old, 6'1", 74-inch reach, 9-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Looking at the odds here, Vettori's actually a bigger favorite than he was when they were fighting. Last month? I think he's a little bit bigger favorite here. I just want to point some things out. Robertson in his 2 losses has lost by submission. And Vettori has never been finished, never been knocked out, never been subbed. He has lost by decision, though. I like Vettori quite a bit here. When I first looked over this fight about a month ago, I did think it was a lot closer than I originally thought. But after digging into it a little bit more, I do favor Vettori. I do like that line of minus 225. Again, another parlay piece I'm definitely looking at. I think if this fight plays out on the feet, it could be fairly close. I think Robertson's a better striker. I think Vettori has a lot of volume, but Robertson does hit pretty hard. I don't think he's going to put away Vettori. Vettori's very tough. I think Vettori's very, very skilled fighter. Overall, I think he's a better fighter than Robertson. I think if he comes out here and gets takedowns on Robertson, he has a very nice path to victory. I think Vettori has finished, 60%, 62% of his fights have been finished by submission. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Vettori submitted him. I mean, we've seen the beef they had in the hotel lobby. If anybody hasn't seen the video, check it out. Vettori was very, very mad. So what kind of worries me is Vettori coming in here, trying to take off Robertson's head, trying to knock him out. And I don't think that would be a very smart game plan for Vettori, because I think that would, play right into Robertson's game. Vettori does not have much power at all. He's not a power guy. He's not a knockout guy. If he can get Robertson down, which would be smart, I do think he can lock up a submission. Obviously, Robertson's weakness is that ground game, and I do think Vettori could be the one to exploit it here. We've seen it exploited before 2 other times, and I do think Vettori will probably get a submission here if he does take this to the ground. What worries me, again, is Vettori's gas tank. Not loving Vettori's gas tank. If Robertson can get into that 3rd round, I think he can have a lot of success in that 3rd round. But overall, I think Vettori's going to get Robertson down at some point, look very good in this fight, possibly get a submission. But I do think Vettori's going to win those first 2 rounds. I'm going to pick him to win by decision. It's going to take a look at that submission prop as well. If it's good odds, maybe take a shot on that. But yeah, I like Vettori here quite a bit. I think he can win, decision, submission. As long as, he fights smart, gets us to the ground at some point. If it stays on the feet, it's going to be very close. If it stays on the feet, it's a 50-50 fight. and that's what kind of worries me here. But overall, if it goes to the ground, I do think he has a great success of getting a possible submission or just doing some damage on the ground as well. So I'm going to go by decision, 29-28, but would not be surprised if he did lock up a submission on Carl Robertson. All right, next we got the fight that everyone has been waiting for. Jessica Ai versus Cynthia Calvillo. This fight is not something I'm looking forward to at all. Honestly, this fight is not something I'm really interested in, but we'll break it down anyway. I mean, if it was on the main card, not the main event, it would be a lot better if we had a different main event. But since it's the main event, it's kind of hard not to be like, come on, So Jessica Ai, Cynthia Calvillo. Jessica Ai, 33 years old, 5'6" with a 66-inch reach. She is 15-7 with a 4-1 record in the last 5. Cynthia Calvillo, she is 32 years old, 5'4" with a 64-inch reach, 8-1 in her last, and 8-1 her record and 4-1 in the last 5 fights. Jessica Ai lands 3.5 significant strikes per minute with a 36% accuracy. She absorbs 3.36 significant strikes per minute with a 60% striking defense. Jessica Ai 0.5 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 50% takedown accuracy and does have a 56% takedown defense. She averages 0.71 submissions per 15 minutes. She has 22 fights, won by knockout 21% of the time, submission 7%. She has only a 28% finish rate. I do not think there's going to be a finish in this fight. And if there is, I do think it'll be Calvillo getting the finish here. She's lost by decision 6 times, only been knocked out once by Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, we all remember that head kick, very nasty head kick. Cynthia Calvillo, 32 years old. She is 5'4" with a 64-inch reach, going to be at a small height and reach advantage and size disadvantage overall. She is 8-1 and 4-1 in the last 5 fights. She lands 3.87 significant strikes per minute with a 39% accuracy. She absorbs 3.5 significant strikes per minute with a 64% striking defense. She has a takedown average of 1.57 with a 36% takedown accuracy. She has a 69% takedown defense, and she averages 2.02 submissions per 15 minutes. 9 fights, 25% by knockout, 38% won by submission, 68% finish rate. She's lost by decision 1 time. As for the odds, Jessica Ai, slight favorite, minus 120, and Cynthia Calvillo, plus 120 underdog. Honestly, I'd like this fight a lot better for Calvillo if she was not coming up a weight class, and I do think that's what does it for me here. I think she's going to be at a size disadvantage here, and I do think Ai is already big for the weight class, and I do think she's going to be too big in there for Calvillo. I want to pick Calvillo. I think she could possibly get some takedowns. It's just hard to see her doing that, throughout the full 25 minutes. I do think this is going all 25 minutes. I think Ai's the better striker, and that's where I think this fight's going to primarily play out on the feet. So for that reason, I am going to pick Jessica Ai to win by decision. I definitely can see a case for Calvillo. I definitely can see it if she can get takedowns. I just think the size disadvantage is going to be too much for Cynthia Calvillo, and I just don't see her getting Jessica Ai down at a consistent rate or even, doing too much with the takedowns. If she does get taken down, I can see Ai getting right back up. I just think Calvillo will have a lot of problems, holding Ai down and getting her down. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Jessica Ai to win by decision. Not going to bet on this fight. I do think there is some value on Jessica Ai. I think she's the better fighter. Either way you go, I don't hate either side, either bet. I don't hate either side at all because I do see past the victory for both. I just think Calvillo's going to have a problem getting down Ai. So for that reason, I am picking Jessica Ai by decision. Honestly, it's not the best main event at all. It's not the best card, but like I said, there are some really fun matches on here that I'm looking forward to. Just a reminder, make sure you guys give this video a like. Also subscribe if you haven't yet. Really appreciate that. Trying to get to 3,000 subscribers at like 2.5K right now. So if we can get up there, hopefully by August, that'd be awesome. Thank you everybody that has recently subscribed, and thank you for the guys that have been sticking with me, guys and girls that have been sticking with me throughout the 1.5, 2 years that I've been doing this. Really means a lot to me. But also do not forget Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time or 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to be going live. Get in the chat. Bring a lot of questions. I'm going to be in there for about an hour answering all the questions you guys have. By then, I'll have finished up my research. Talk about some of the fights. I wasn't too sure about like the Zaruk Other fights like that. Talk about betting. Talk about DraftKings. So make sure you guys bring in as many questions as you can, because I will be ready to answer. And yeah, that's about it. And good luck with any bets, any DraftKings. And yeah, let's have another good card. I think this card's a little bit slept on. Hopefully it proves a lot of people wrong, even proves me wrong. And hopefully it's a fun card. And yep, see ya.